Hello and welcome to Lois Ancestral. Today we are going to be doing some divination with cards and dice, and we are going to be exploring the topic of relational mastery, relationship mastery. Why is that important? Because life is, in essence, relationship. There is nothing more important for us to be learning, practicing, and mastering. Our relationships internally and externally with other beings and with the rest of existence affect everything. So, without further ado, let's master them. So today we are using my language flashcard deck that I have created. We also have a set of normal dice here and then a set of West dice here that we might use or might not, I don't know. So let's just see what happens. So, the mastery of relationships. What is it important for us to know, to understand, to see, to feel, and to experience together? Yes, okay, so let's breathe together. That's what's coming through. So let's take a breath and just arrive in the present moment. The deeper we can meet ourselves in the present moment, the deeper we can meet others. And so let's bring the presence to ourselves that we would like to meet the world with. Let's make sure our bodies are comfortable. How is our relationship with our body? How does the breath interact with the body? And how does that affect how you feel in this moment? Are there any imbalances happening? And just notice them. Does anything need us to take a new approach? So, we are talking about the mastery of relationships, internal, external with other beings, and also relationships between everything. We are talking about the mastery of relationship itself in general. Relationship as its own theme that can be applied to everything. So let's now look deeper. What information is coming through about relationships? You're doing great. Well done for showing up. Okay, so it's clear that I want to focus, there we go, focus on human relationships. Relationships with each other, both sides, and win-wins. This is absolutely perfect. So let's focus on how both sides of a human interaction interact and why win-wins are important. So, what is a win-win and why is it important to human relationships? Each human being has an integrity, has boundaries, has an essence, has a way. On both sides of an interaction, each person has a way. And those two sides, or more if there are more people involved, interact and affect each other. And the common default way of humans to function with one another today is that my approach or my way or my energy is going to win and yours is going to lose. It's a common dynamic. I win and you lose, or I win, okay, yeah, I'd better let you win because that gives something to me and that keeps you happy. It's a zero-sum game, and this is a game that human beings most commonly play with each other today, and it's in everything. It's in needs conflict, it's in boundaries, it's with desires, it's in every aspect of life. It's not just in the big things, it's in the small interactions. It's in this choice that I make affects you, and I'm not going to consider you, I'm just going to do it anyway. It's like when we are in relationship, we don't get to do that anymore without hurting each other. So let's look at how to practice win-wins, because it's about consideration. Now, many people have trauma where it's like, yeah, but I need to be able to do what I want, otherwise I'm being demanded, or otherwise I'm being controlled, or something like this. And it's delicate, because what I'm talking about is not doing what someone else demands you to do. It's about two or more human beings interacting. Every choice each one makes affects the other one. A relationship is not me and you as separate beings that do not affect each other and just do whatever they want. A relationship is we are affecting each other and we interact. Everything we do has an effect on the other. So choosing into relationship consciously is about recognizing that we affect each other. And it's different to not having to consider anyone. Also, the illusion that I can not consider anyone and not affect anyone is that it's an illusion, because even if I behave that way, I'm still affecting people. So some people need to have an experience of taking care of my best interest only and not considering anyone. That's especially people who are healing from enmeshment trauma. At the same time as it's not an end goal kind of state, because everyone is affecting everyone. There is no escaping from that. And so how do we take responsibility for that we are affecting each other and take care of ourselves at the same time? And this is where the win-win comes into play, because no one is asking of anyone, when it's a win-win, to abandon themselves and do it my way. The win-win is a new possibility. It's a third potential. It's okay, I want to make this choice and you want to make this choice. My choice hurts you and your choice hurts me. So how do we work together to find a third option that works for both of us and is potentially better than any of these single ideas that were had before? This is a win-win. This is the only way. This kind of approach of considering each other and coming up with something that works for everyone, this is the only way of collaboration that doesn't exclude and hurt people. It is a process of experimentation in the present moment. It is okay to choose to have the kinds of relationships where you don't consider the other. In my perspective, it's very important to put that on the table. I do not want to practice win-wins with you. I do not want to consider you in XYZ area of my life. I'm going to do what I want regardless of how it affects you. It's okay to do that. Own it and put it on the table so that somebody else who's also in a place like that in their life and that works for them, they can tolerate a lot of autonomy or something like this, can choose into that relationship with you. Because before I said that win-win is the only way to have a relationship without hurting each other. Now I'm contradicting myself, and it's important. It's that sometimes the win-win can be to agree that in this way we do not consider each other and in this way we do. So it is in essence still a win-win. It is about putting yourself on the table clearly and finding compatible individuals to have relationships with who also want that. Because if I say, yes, I'm available to consider you and practice win-wins, but then I come out and say, oh no, actually I'm just gonna do this, see you later. That's very painful to be on the other side of. So I value integrity and putting it on the table. searching inside and becoming clear what I want, what I need, what's okay with me in a relationship and what's not, and putting that on the table so that people can choose into relationship with that. Because if I don't put myself onto the table, the other person is not really in a relationship with me. They're in a relationship with whatever I put onto the table. So I invite you to share what you want to follow through with on the table, your authenticity. So there are different dynamics that different people need in different moments of their life. From my life experience, I have seen that a lot of harm can come from not putting yourself on the table. Because it can hurt you when you have to live up to something that isn't you, that you've said that you are. And it can also hurt others when you turn around and say, oh, actually, I'm not that, I'm this. So this is why I feel it's important to become clear about you. If you need support with this, you can ask other people to reflect back to you. You can do some internal shadow work, some exercises, some journaling or something like this to figure out more about you. And of course, relationship is a practice, no? We are not gonna get it perfect, and we're human beings, no? Like, it's a practice. So I just have a type A personality, so I'm gonna say it blunt how it is. I'm just gonna tell my truth. So study is really important. In a way, relationship with yourself and others is a study. The more I study myself and the way that I am behaving, the more clear I am able to communicate that with others. Also, the more I can see about myself, the more I can see perceptually about human relational dynamics, and the more that I can offer to that, and the more deeply I'm able to receive. And when it comes to human relationships and relationship in general, understanding is incredibly important. Understanding one another. Understanding and misunderstandings are perhaps the most dangerous human blind spot. So maybe someone says something to you and you understand inside something different to what has actually been said, and we have a conflict. So something very important to be aware of is, how am I interpreting what's happening? What am I making it mean? And what am I understanding? And how's that making me feel? And asking questions is really supportive in this instance. Like, I interpreted this when you just said that. Is that true? Or did you mean something else? Leaving space for understanding each other and inviting people to understand you if something has been misunderstood. Mutual understanding is a powerful, powerful opening for intimacy. Because this and this closing out or fighting or going towards each other and looking, the difference is made by I am open to understand, to receive, to see, or I'm not. I already know. I already know it's like this, and I'm against it. So no one does anything for no reason, ever. It just doesn't happen. So if someone is doing something that's hurting you, there are two things that are important. The first one is stop, breathe. Unless the situation is something that needs an immediate reaction or response, in which case it will probably just happen. But if it's more like a conflict, okay. In this moment, I feel hurt by what is happening. Can we look at it together? It's very different than, you are doing this to me, or something like this. The language that we use with each other is very, very important. Also, the things that we judge as bad and wrong, they are something to watch out for, because if something is bad and wrong and not okay, and it's rejected or excluded, are we really able to get rid of that? Or does that just hurt it? Does that just exclude the person that has that trait? Is that abusive? So even if someone is doing something really bad and wrong, sure, again, if we need to take immediate measures to keep people safe, of course we do that. And when there is space, even people who do the worst, most bad things in our perception, why are they doing that? No one does anything for no reason. Why do people hurt people? Unmet needs, desperately painful emotions. So we have the possibility to bring compassion into our relationships. Relationship is everything. Why is relationship everything? Because everything is one. So everything is a part of everything else, affecting everything else. So if you hurt something outside, you cannot do that without hurting you, and vice versa. It is also not true that everything is either only outside or either only inside. Every reaction or interaction is two-sided at least, because it's internal and external, because everything is one. So in the spiritual field, what we love to say is everything you need is inside. You can do it all yourself. Be okay alone. And it's just absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to stop, because we are a more socially dependent species than a deer, than a lion, than a herd animal. Because what happens if you put a human baby alone and don't interact with it? That is a dead baby. But not just for the first year of life, when many animals are already up and doing their thing. No, this human is helpless at 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does it end? Honestly, we need each other even as adults. It's not as intense as it is when we are children, but it doesn't go away. We have relational needs, and it's something abusive to expect people to be able to function without the meeting of their relational needs. It's normal and healthy for human beings to meet each other's needs. So why is there this big stigma about needs? Because it wasn't okay to need something, or because it didn't seem possible that others were going to meet our needs, things like this. But do we stop needing them? Do we stop having developmental, social, and interdependence needs? No. So this is something very important in human relationships. A very important aspect of human relationships is the meeting of needs. And it's again about finding compatible people who can meet each other's needs. A need is not a demand. It's, I need this. Would you like to meet this need for me, or can you meet this need for me? Yes, I would love to, or no, sorry, I can't, I'm not able to. Okay, and then you can make a decision based on the other person's response. But when compatible people gather together who want to meet each other's needs, this supports us to process developmental trauma. It actually helps us to grow up. Because without our developmental needs having been met, we stay stunted at the level that part of us has an unmet need. So discovering our unmet needs and figuring out creative ways of meeting them is very important in relationships, and it's a lot of what we need to do together is meet each other's needs. Because this creates the foundation for everything else that we can experience together. It's like our physical needs. If you don't have the food, the water, the bathroom, the shelter, and everything like this that you need, are you really going to be able to do the other stuff effectively, or do those things need seeing to first? It's the same with emotional and developmental and social needs. And our social, connective, interdependence needs are the most important fundamental core needs that we have. We can see this again by looking at a human baby in scientific studies that have been done. If you feed and give a baby the drink that it needs, I don't know what babies drink. Okay, they drink milk. Yeah. So if you give a baby the milk that it needs, if you give a baby the sustenance that it needs, but you do not be physically affectionate with it and meet the relational needs that it has, the baby dies. But if it's the opposite way round, sure, the baby is going to need food, but it actually have a better chance at survival this way round. Sure, each one is not ideal, but the consequences are worse when we remove the physical touch. They need physical touch more than they need food. And we are the same. Teal Swan gives a really good analogy here. She says, connection is a more important need, because if you take someone who has lost the most important connections in their life, can they eat? Can they sleep? Can they drink? No. So connective needs are so important, and that's why it's very important for us to master relationships. And the way that we have the vast majority of society structured today is not around prioritizing our relational needs. So what the hell are we doing? So what else is it important to say about human relationships? There are two important aspects of the relationship. One is the love aspect, and one is the exchange aspect. So is it going to function in a healthy way if I really love you, but we want totally different things and we have totally incompatible desires, and we're not interested in meeting each other's needs? I mean, maybe if you don't really want anything to do with each other, but if you try to stay close to each other in that dynamic, it's going to cause a lot of conflict, because the other thing that is important is compatibility in the exchange, in our needs, in our desires. So for thousands and more years, the way humans have evolved has been from much more abusive ways of relating to become a little bit less and a little bit less, especially in a physical sense. However, I mean, mostly no, and still questionable things happen. At the same time, as we have not come out of the dark when it comes to emotions. So the way that we look back in time and we see the physical abuse and we're like, yeah, gosh, we definitely need to discontinue that. That's the way that the future is going to look back on us and be like, oh my God, what the hell were they doing with their emotions? Because together we have the possibility to feel the way we're affecting each other and the energetic dynamics and our emotions, to support each other and to find better ways of creating formations, patterns and arrangements that are less emotionally abusive. It's very important the language that we use with ourselves and each other. It's very important the relationship that we have with ourselves, and it's important the relationship that we have with each other. One does not negate the other. Practice is internal and external. Honestly, human relationships and the way that humans relate with everything, with themselves, with different parts of themselves, and with each other, needs a revolutionary approach. We need a deep receptivity to what is happening, how it feels, how we're affecting each other, how we're being affected, how we're affecting. We need responsiveness is something is asking for our attention and our care. It's one thing to see it, it's another thing to respond to it. We need to be able to consider each other deeply and to also have the experience of being considered. And we need to collaborate to find ways of acting in the best interest of each and every single one. Because if in a group scenario, everyone is not considered, what ends up happening is not in the best interest of anyone. And this is where win-win comes in. When there are different parts of us having different needs, perspectives, desires, and best interests, it's harmful if one side is winning out over the other side or vice versa. It's a conflict, it's a war, and it's also reflected externally in the way that we relate with each other. So it's important that everyone is considered. Luna is using the litter box right now. I hope she's okay with that. I told you that. Yeah. It's delicate what we're talking about because so many people have so many different kinds of trauma about not being considered, being silenced, being abused, everything, you name it, you know what happened to you, no? Or you can remember some parts of it and it's possible to remember more of it. What was I saying? Oh yes, so the way that the things that each person needs in relationships and in their life is different. So that's why it's important that we are considering each individual, because the most important thing that I am sharing is considering everyone. Because everyone has a whole universe of, on one hand, pain that they need specific things to support them to move through and to reacclimatize to relationships, or to give them the space that they need and figure out how to make that work with everyone else they affect and things like this. Or we also all have a unique contribution to share with the group. So understanding each other, receiving each other, sharing with each other, considering with each other, collaborating in ways that are best for everyone. What is the alternative? No? Because even if someone needs something that is not what the others need, it's possible to find a way of doing that that's best for everyone. For me, it's not okay to exclude people or to dismiss them or to stand on them because, well, the rest of the group wants this and you don't fit. But if someone is sharing a vibrational space with the rest of a group and something is happening that's excluding them, we are all creating that together. There is no on the outside, that's you and that has nothing to do with me. That doesn't exist. We are all co-creating everything together. Everything that's happening has to do with me and you and everyone. We've gone through a lot of important points, very passionately expressed by me. So now let's see what else wants to come through to tie everything together. So what is it important for human beings, especially the human beings watching this video, to receive about relationships to support us all to have healthier relationships in general? Customize your relationships for you. Customize your life so that it suits you. Take care of your emotions and support each other with our emotions. with our trauma, work through the way that we are affecting each other together. This is how we integrate. We study what is happening, maybe inside, maybe outside with the rest of the group, and we see what we can do to create something better. We see who has something to share, we see who needs to receive something, and we collaborate to create something that's better than what was before. Because if something is hurting someone, it's very scary to see that, not respond to it, and continue that anyway. That's what human beings have going at a 7,000 miles an hour, this narcissistic bubble of not responding to the way that we're affecting each other, and it needs to stop if we want to continue, if we want to flow, if we want to be in alignment with our spirit and our soul, if we want to be in harmony with the rest of existence, if we want to live in harmony with each other. We need to end the zero-sum game and focus on a vision of what's possible when we work together to find something that feels like a yes for everyone. The win-win possibility, win-win consciousness, the potential, mystery, the third point, the new way. Compassion is vital to relationships. Everyone has deep gifts and values to share with everyone else, and everyone deserves to be recognized as valuable. Everyone deserves to be taken care of, and everyone deserves to take care of themselves. Let's breathe together. How's your body feeling? Do you need to do any stretches? Do you need to drink some water?
Do you need to stroke your cat?
Careful with that, it's a bit wobbly. It's not very stable. Whoa. I've not yet been able to communicate this in a way that she understands, so I just have to hold it. Okay, there we go. Yes, you can be there.
That works for me. Does that feel like we found a win-win?
Okay, so I was gonna carry on in my cat voice then. Anything else want to come out? It's fucking okay to have needs and to meet them and to have them met. And I said this in my last video, the one about money, that going for what you need in an indirect way is what manipulation is, and it's understandable why we do that as people because of what we've been through in the past. That being said, it's possible to investigate what you need, understand it, advocate for it, and ask for it directly. This is a very healthy behavior. I need this. Are you able or wanting to do that for me? Yes or no? It's very clear. Clear communication is very important when it comes to healthy relationships. Finding belonging with compatible people is very important because that's your tribe. And why is that important? Because we're a tribal species. And if you are someone who is in a way stuck in isolation, then I feel for you and I understand and I know what that's like. What I can offer is what's helped and is helping me is going inside and finding the aspects of me that are fragmented and meeting their needs and supporting them to integrate with shadow work, with something called the completion process that Teal Swan created, with journaling, things like this, and gathering the book, The Anatomy of Loneliness. You can read that if you want to, it's amazing. So this helped with the internal situation that was contributing to creating the loneliness externally. And then on the outside, what I have done and do is keep myself open to possibilities and go to places and see if I meet people who are compatible. And when I meet people, I put myself on the table, because I would rather know if someone likes or doesn't like me for who I really am. I'm done with these games of, oh, I'm gonna be this because you might like this. No, I put myself on the table and risk that person not liking me, because it feels better to me to know that the people that choose me are choosing me for me. And then also I'm not gonna dupe them later on. So, receptivity, responsiveness, collaboration, win-wins. Is there anything else important that needs to come out before the end of this video? So, by mastering relationships internally between parts of us and practicing relationship mastery with other human beings, this expands outwards and begins to affect our relationship with everything else, with animals and with the earth. So any practice of mastering relationship impacts the rest of relationship in a positive way. So whether you are practicing relating with your own body, your breath, your internal parts, or your relationships, your pets, the environment, whatever it is, it's all interconnected and it will all have a positive effect on each other. Positive effect on each other. At the same time as mastering internal relationship is not a bypass for needing external relationships also. The needing of isolation is an important part of some people's journey, and it is not the end goal. In the end, loneliness causes us to choose back into relationship because we realize that we need it. However, if you are in a moment where you need more autonomy and you need to not consider anyone and things like this, that is okay. Please try not to hurt anyone. Please try to be honest with people about, I don't want to consider you right now, I want to do what the hell I want. It's okay, I understand, I've been there. Tell people. And if you are in a moment like me where you want to consider other people, then best of luck. Because we're all practicing, myself included. So I honor you very deeply for wanting to practice considerate relationship with yourself, with others, and with the rest of existence. And may we all practice together and support each other, understand and have compassion, and, you know, create slightly better than yesterday together. Let's consider each other's best interests and be advocates for each other's authenticity and the health of the group. Because I can have me and have you too. It's possible. I do not have to sacrifice myself to be in relationship with you, and vice versa. Tribe thrives when authenticity and mutuality are in harmony. When boundaries and fusion is harmonious. When it's pliable, receptive and responsive, and as rigid as it needs to be, like not too rigid and not too floppy. No, it's like a dance, like a boundary. interaction is more like this. Doesn't need to be like this. Although, if it does in a moment, that's okay. So, boundaries are also, I am this, or I need this, or I want this, or I would like to do this. Boundary is also this, a sense of self. It's also happening when there is a boundary conflict, but that's not all a boundary is. A boundary is no, but it's not just no, it's also the things that are a yes for me and things like this. So boundaries are important. What defines me? What am I okay with? What do I need? What do I want? And also what's not okay with me and things like this. So both sides of the boundaries, the yes and the no, are important in relationships. So, is there anything else that wants to come out? Because there is so much that we could speak about, and I felt before this video, oh my god, like how am I going to say it all? And then I was like, wait, I'm not. I'm just going to share some things that are valuable, and whatever I share is going to be something for someone, and for me it's also cathartic. So take care of our shadows and play. Those are very important things to relationships. Healing and creativity. Present moment and forward movement. Rest and flow. We are going to repeat things over and over again. That's kind of what patterns do. So each time patterns come around, or conflicts, or however it's manifesting, triggers, it's a new possibility to practice resolve with the parts of me and also with each other. How do we repair the rupture that happened in a way that feels good for everyone? This way we don't need to fear relationship rupture, even though feeling a bit of fear is natural. It becomes a possibility for strengthening the bonds that we have. Because a real deep relationship is both in the natural connection and how we're able to move through things and collaborate in each other's best interest. And compatibility remains vitally important. So, I am going to leave it there for right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, comment down below to let us know what you received and what you feel and think about these ideas. What are you going to practice in your relationships? What's going well for you? What's not going so well? We can support each other to practice mastering relationships. So let's use the comments below to practice mastering relationships. Also, if we're talking to each other, we can be being aware of the language that we're using with each other and how we're affecting each other in the comments. So let's create a safe space to interact with others as a community in the comment section below. Let's go, humans, connect. Human beings, relate with each other, let's go. And subscribe if you have not already. And click that little bell so that you know when I will post my next video. Take care of yourself, lots of love, and I will see you soon. Bye for now, namaste. Fuck yes, gal, well the fuck done. Well the fuck done, Lois Ancestral. Good practice. Practice, real thing, same thing.